Have you ever wondered how a man from a humble background could rise to become one of the most notorious gangsters in American history? Let's step back in time to the early 20th century, to the bustling streets of Brooklyn, New York. Here, a young Al Capone, son of Italian immigrants, found himself drawn into the underbelly of the city. His life was far from the American dream, his days filled with petty crimes and limited formal education. But it was the allure of power and respect that drew him into the world of organized crime. Under the wing of Johnny Torrio, a formidable figure in the underworld, Capone began to learn the ropes. He was no longer just a small-time crook, he was embarking on a path that would lead him to infamy. But how did a small-time Brooklyn boy rise to become a feared gangster? The answer lies in the city of Chicago. Chicago in the 1920s was a city ripe for the taking, and Al Capone was just the man to do it. Leaving behind his New York roots, Capone landed in the Windy City right at the onset of Prohibition. A man of ambition and ruthless cunning, he quickly saw opportunity in the city's thirst for forbidden spirits. Ascending swiftly through the ranks of the criminal underworld, Capone's rise was as meteoric as it was bloody. His leadership style was a potent mix of charm and terror, drawing in allies and silencing opponents with equal ease. His name became synonymous with the city's seedy underbelly, his influence reaching into every corner. Perhaps the most notorious event of his reign was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a brutal display of power that sent shockwaves through the nation. Capone had become the public enemy #1, but his reign was not to last. How does a man of such power and influence fall? This is the question that haunts the story of Al Capone, America's most notorious gangster. Capone lived a life of power and privilege, commanding the Chicago underworld with an iron fist. But the more successful he became, the more the government grew determined to bring him down. The task of dismantling Capone's empire fell on the shoulders of a young prohibition agent named Eliot Ness. Ness, along with his team of incorruptible officers, known as the Untouchables, embarked on a relentless pursuit to bring Capone to justice. They faced threats, corruption, and a city under Capone's spell, but their grit and determination never wavered. But it wasn't the violent crimes, the illegal speakeasies, or even the notorious St. Valentine's Day Massacre that would be Capone's undoing. No, it was something far more mundane and unexpected. Despite his criminal empire, Capone had never filed a tax return. The government, unable to pin Capone on his violent crimes, turned to tax evasion as their weapon of choice. In October of 1931, Capone was convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to 11 years in prison. It was a stunning downfall for a man who, at the peak of his power, seemed untouchable himself. Capone's time in prison was marked by deteriorating health, exacerbated by the untreated syphilis he had contracted in his youth. By the time of his release, he was a shadow of his former self, his mind ravaged by disease. He died in 1947, a broken man. Capone's downfall was as swift as his rise, serving as a warning to all who sought to follow in his footsteps. His story serves as a stark reminder that no matter how powerful one might seem, no one is above the law. It's a lesson that resonates even today, echoing through the halls of power and the streets of our cities. And so, we are left to ponder the question, how does a man of such power and influence fall? Perhaps the answer is simple: power, unchecked, can be its own downfall. Al Capone's life was a paradox of the American dream, a man who achieved incredible wealth and power, but at a terrible cost. Capone's impact on American culture is pervasive, his name synonymous with the roaring 20s, bootlegging and organized crime. He was a man who ruled Chicago with an iron fist, his empire built on the back of illegal alcohol, gambling and prostitution. Even in death, Capone's legacy lived on. He died a slow, painful death from syphilis, a far cry from his once powerful and feared persona. Yet this didn't diminish his infamy. Capone has been portrayed in countless films, books and television series, immortalizing him as one of America's most notorious criminals. His life serves as a cautionary tale, an example of the potential consequences of unchecked ambition and power. Al Capone remains a symbol of the dark side of the American dream, a testament to the destructive power of ambition unchecked by morality. Thank you for watching our video on Al Capone, the rise and fall of a gangster legend. We hope you found this journey into the life of one of America's most notorious criminals enlightening. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the roaring 20s and the dark side of the American dream, Don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. Your support allows us to continue exploring compelling stories from history. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Al Capone's life and legacy. Do you think his story is a cautionary tale of ambition and power gone wrong? Do you see him as a product of his time or a man who made his own choices? Let us know in the comments below. Once again, thank you for your support and stay tuned for more fascinating tales from history.